half.
Yep.
Okay. Ωραία. Λοιπόν, να περιμένουμε μέχρι τις 7 και 4.
Ναι, διότι αν είναι και εκείνοι που έρχονται από την...
Ναι. Έρχονται και από απέναντι, γιατί έχουμε... Ναι.
Η αντιπρόεδρος είναι εδώ.
Η αντιπρόεδρος είναι εδώ, ο πρόεδρος της πολιτιστικής εταιρείας είναι εδώ, ο εγγονός του Μίγγα είναι απέναντι, στο Μαϊάμι. Λοιπόν, οι συγγενείς του επίσης είναι εδώ.
George. Which one is George?
I'm George.
Oh, George.
Hi.
George. All right.
I'm very glad to see you here.
What? Oh, good. I'm glad to be here. George, when I was born, I was born in New York, but we moved to Massachusetts. And from there, I graduated from high school, went to college, graduated in 1953.
Mm-hmm.
I went into the service. I served in the army in Germany for 3 years. I got married. I got married right after basic training.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to bring my wife with me to Germany. And our firstborn son was born in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Then we came back to the United States, and I was supposed to start law school, but I couldn't. I had problems medically. I was in the VA hospital, Veterans Hospital. When I came out, I had to find a job while waiting for the new term to begin. So I got a job with with social services. And I liked it so much, I decided to stay in that field. I went on and got my master's degree in psychiatric social work. And I stayed in that field. I worked with children, welfare, and in mental health. I was an administrator in mental health center in Fall River. And I stayed there until I retired. I retired at 19, I was 59 when I retired from the state. And shortly after that, we moved to Florida. So I have, one of our sons lives in Wisconsin, 2 live in the Boston area, and our daughter lives here in Florida, in Bradenton. And I have my son-in-law with me today, David. He's married to Elder Anthony Litos.
Really?
So he's here in Florida, and they both live close by. I'm in a nursing facility. My wife is in assisted living. We live close together. I see her every day. I'm well taken care of. I'm not able to care for myself very well. We were supposed to go together in assisted living, but I need attention. I had a stroke. I'm paralyzed on the right side. So I decided that she should stay in assisted living and I should come to a nursing home. But we have contact with each other every day. It's worked out very, very well. They treat us well, and we're very, very happy in the situation that we're currently living. I wish I could speak more Greek than I do now. I still have my Greek. I still remember a lot of the Greek language, but my vocabulary is terrible. I wish it was better.
That's
I manage somehow. All my children are thoroughly knowledge. I'm very lucky. My wife, she is European. She was born in the Azores. And she didn't come to the United States until she was around 15, 16 years old. And then I met her and I fell in love, unfortunately, or fortunately. But we've been married for 68 years and we get along very, very well. And our children have done very, very well. They're good.
Like you.
Currently, David is looking for Stephanos. One of my father's brothers came to America, and
Christos.
Christos came.
Yes.
And
Christos.
And he went back to bring his wife. Christos, I think, went back to bring his wife, and his wife didn't want to come to America. So Christos stayed in Greece. But Stefano, he went back to America, and no one's heard from him. He sort of disappeared. We're currently seeing if we can find Stefano.
No,
Here,
Christos.
we think.
Wait, Christos.
Oh, Christos, that's it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. Sorry,
Yeah.
Christos. So I think we're right now looking to find him. We think he might be in the Midwest, maybe in Detroit, in Michigan, and we have a contact right now, and we hope that this might be solve the problem of Christos, that we'll know what happened to him.
Let's hope so.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Anthony, do you have anything to remember from your mother or some stories about your grandfather?
Oh, my mother, both my parents, they never, my father never shared too much about his life. I'm sorry, and I regret not having him give me more information about the family. I knew about his brothers. I didn't know too much about how he came to America. He came here, he was about 13, 14 years old. He stayed here and made a life for himself. And that's a very difficult thing. I can't imagine going to a country, not knowing the language or the religion, and making a life for himself. And he worked hard. He's a very hard worker. And he went back to Greece with the AHEPA group on an excursion. And that's when they arranged a marriage between my father and my mother, who was at that time was working in the office of the plant, textile plant in Nausa. She was very educated. She was educated in Athens at Jasakio. Very intelligent. When he came to America, she worked at the Bank of Athens for a while. My father worked all kinds of different jobs, but he worked himself up to, he finally got his own business. It was in the restaurant business in Fall River. He had the Royal Restaurant. And he stayed there, worked there for many years, and then switched jobs and went to open another business. A very hard worker. We had nothing. He gave us everything we needed to live well. And my mother was unbelievable. My mother was years ahead of herself. Very intelligent, and really wanted us to get the education that we got. My sister, Katie, she went to college, became a librarian, raised 4 children. And my brother, unfortunately, I miss him. He died, he was 20. He went to the Air Force and was killed in France in an accident, and we lost him very early in life. He did go to Greece. I remember him going there, and while he was in the Air Force, and he stayed with the Litos family, I believe. He was very friendly with Chris, and got along well and then he went back. I missed him dearly. He was a good boy.
Of course you do.
He was a real great athlete. He was good in football, baseball, basketball. Played all three sports in high school. And he went to a junior college and graduated. And then he went into the Air Force. That's about it with but they were good. We had a good life. My father supported us well, and my mother brought us up right. And I couldn't ask for anything better. And I hope that we pass the good qualities that we got onto our children. And I know that we did. You'll meet David. I think he's going to visit Greece shortly. And and you'll meet Philip too, I'm sure. And the others, they'll probably make time to come and visit. I know David very, very interested and is doing a lot of follow-up with the families. It's just amazing. When I went to Greece, my mother wanted me to visit the Minggas family. I didn't know who the Minggas were. Stefano made arrangements for me, and I did visit. I don't know where the family Minggas lived. I know there must be other Minggas family, but I did visit them, and my mother gave me something to give to them when I visited them. And we enjoyed our visit in Nausa. We went to Thessaloniki first and stayed there, and then to Nausa. The people there were very gracious, very wonderful. I mean, it was family. You know, you knew that you could tell it was in your blood when you go back and you see family.
Mm-hmm.
You just know right away when my aunt came, Theosula and Theokostas and his wife, Sophia, it just knew. It just knew. You knew they were family. It was in you. They were very, very, very good. When we went to visit them, they couldn't do enough for us. They were wonderful, wonderful. I miss them. I used to call Greece and talk with Stefano and his sister came to America when Costa died. He had a heart attack.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And we had to bury him. I wanted to have him cremated and then sent to Greece with his wife. But I had a big problem and an argument with the priest. And so I knew I could do it, but he made it difficult for me to have it done. He wouldn't provide the service if he was going to be cremated. So we had him cremated. He's buried with my mother and my father and my brother John.
Thank you so much for sharing all this with us.
It was a very nice short interview. Thank you very much.
Yes.
I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity
we are
to
honored.
speak and to share with you.
Thank you.
It's an honor for us. So,
if you don't see me, you're gonna see a lot of my.
Μήπως κάποιος άλλος έχει κάτι να πει, ένας κύριος εδώ.
στην αίθουσα.
Ναι.
Λίγο Remember this.
Now, I'm one of the four.
Αλλά δεν ξέρουμε αγγλικά. Θα ήθελα να μάθω πέρα από τα πολλά που ήθελα κουβέντες και πώς βρέθηκε στην Αμερική. Δηλαδή, ανήκει οι γονείς του ανήκουν σε εκείνους που έχουν κάνει τις καραπιές τότε.
Ναι, ο κύριος είναι ο εγγονός του Αντώνη Μίγγα. Η μητέρα του Ελένη Μίγγα παντρεύτηκε τον Φίλιππο Λίτο και μετανάστευσαν οικογενειακώς στην Αμερική. Από εκεί βρέθηκε στο Μαϊάμι τώρα ο κύριος Αντώνης. Γνωρίζει ελληνικά, αλλά δεν είναι και εύκολο να μιλήσει, η αλήθεια είναι. Πώς? Η αδερφή του μπορεί να γνωρίζει καλύτερα ελληνικά. Ναι, πιθανώς. Η αδερφή του κυρίου Αντώνη πιθανώς να γνωρίζει καλύτερα ελληνικά. Είναι αλήθεια. Πρέπει να ήταν γύρω στο 1928, 27, κάπου εκεί πέσα. Στην δεκαετία του 20 πρέπει να ήταν πάνω. Εντάξει, άμα θέλεις, εσύ ακούς, Σταύρο, θες να μιλήσεις με τον κύριο Αντώνη, να κάνεις τον μεταφραστή. Ρώτα τον πότε έφυγε η μαμά του και ο μπαμπάς του στην Αμερική.
The question is about your parents. When did they migrate to the USA? In 1927, is that correct?
Is that question for Tony?
Yeah, is that for me?
Yes, it's for you, yes.
That question for me?
Yeah.
It's about your parents.
Yeah. When did they get married?
No, when did they migrate to the United States?
To the United States.
Oh, it was right after the wedding. It must have been shortly after they were married.
What year?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm
not sure. Because I was 31. I was born in 31, so they must have come in. Yeah, it must have been 31,
27,
28, 29. It must have been around.
Η φωτογραφία πάντως εκείνη
It
είναι
must have been
το
20, yeah,
1928.
it must be around 28. Yeah, 1928. Yeah, 20. Yes, because I was born in 31, and they were living in New York at that time, and he was working and she was working.
Άρα το 28 μάλλον παντρεύτηκαν και το 31 που γεννήθηκε ο κύριος Αντώνης ήταν ήδη στην Νέα Υόρκη. Εντάξει.
Yeah.
Πάντως έχει το επίθετο το όνομα του παππού του. Ναι. Yes.
George, I had a question, and I wanted to ask it before. When I went to Greece for a memorial service for my grandfather, they came from all over Macedonia and even from the Athens for the memorial, but no one came from Mousa. There was no representative from Mousa. And the same thing in 2007. And I couldn't understand why NAUSA didn't send a representative. In the booklet that I have on NAUSA, it was a sort of announcing the different things that NAUSA produces as a city, the wine, the fruit, the textiles. There was no mention of their local hero. I couldn't understand why no one came to the celebration. And I used to ask, why don't they send somebody down? I couldn't understand that. I still don't understand it. But then my cousin, I gotta think of her name now. I'm sorry, I'm getting old. I'm trying to think of her name.
That's not true.
Evangelista Fuli's daughter. She was an engineer. She was working for the town of Nausa. And I asked her, why isn't there something said about their hero, Anthony Litos? I'd go to Edessa, and there'd be in a park, and it'd have a pedestal with a bust on it. I'd go to Edessa, and I'd go to the town hall, and they had the original part of the tree that they were hung on. I'm going back. I said, gee, there should be something like this in Nausa too. And I never could say, but she started asking questions. And the next thing you know, they started to bring a representative.
Λέει ότι η Νάουσα δεν έστειλε αντιπρόσωπο στον εορτασμό, τέλος πάντων, της μνήμης του γεγονότος των 100 χρόνων, τέλος πάντων, που δεν είναι ακριβώς διορτασμός. Τέλος πάντων, στα 100 χρόνια δεν έστειλε αντιπρόσωπο η Νάουσα, να έστειλε η Έδεσα και γίνονται όλα αυτά τα πράγματα στην Έδεσα. Ναι, οκ. This is something that our historical society is going to change. Mr.
I know, I'm sure will. And I'm sure what happened shortly after that, I got a letter from the mayor of Nausa saying they were going to make a tribute to him in the park.
They did. There is a bust of Antonius Migga now.
Yes.
In the park.
And I know, and my sister's daughter was the daughter and the granddaughter, I think, went to the memorial too, in the park. It's a very nice park. I couldn't. It's beautiful, beautiful. So I know that it's changed, but I never could understand why something like that would disappear. They wouldn't even mention.
They do mention Antonius Miggas. I've been living for 48 years in Antonius Migga Street. So they do honor him. Okay.
I really,
this is
really thankful.
My house is in Antonius Migga Street. Okay.
No, I'm very thankful.
Funny coincidence, but he did.
No, I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful. I mean, he gave his life for his country, and to not be remembered, it bothered me a lot. But I'm happy now that they've made amends and they've recognized that he played an important role in the life of Macedonia. Yes. I want to thank you for that.
We want to thank you too for being here with us today.
With us,
okay.
Yes.
I enjoyed your. I stayed on and listened to you in everything that's been going on, and I'm very thankful that the Historical Society is taking a look at not just him, but everything that's going on that's so important to Nausa. I love Nausa. It's a beautiful city, and it means a lot to me. A lot.
Thank you very much.
Βάζω και το μήνυμα του κ. David Λίτου. Ο πατέρας μου Αντώνιος θα ήθελε να ευχαριστήσει όλους για την ευκαιρία και τον χρόνο που μας δόθηκε σήμερα. Ξέχασε να αναφέρει ότι συνείδησε τη γιαγιά του Ευγενία, σύζυγο Μίγγα, η οποία ταξίδεψε στην Αμερική για να ελέγξει την ευημερία τους. Δυστυχώς δεν είχε συνομιλίες μαζί της για τον παππού του Αντώνιο Μίγγα. Αυτό που ξέρει είναι τι γράφτηκε στα βιβλία της ελληνικής ιστορίας. Αυτό που πιστεύω είναι ότι η προγιαγιά μου Ευγενία παρότεινε την κόρη της Ελένη να σπουδάσει. Η Ελένη ήταν μια διαβίου μάθηση, καλά διαβασμένη, και η επίγνωσή της για τις φρικαλαιότητες στον κόσμο την απασχολούσε πάντα και πίστευε ότι η εκπαίδευση ήταν ο δρόμος προς την ειρήνη. Είναι μια συμπλήρωση όσων μας είπε ο ίδιος.
Κατάλαβα. Ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ και τον κόσμο που είναι στο διαδίκτυο και τον κόσμο που ήρθε εδώ πέρα. Ζητούμε συγγνώμη για την αναστάτωση την διαδικτυακή και ευχόμαστε να σας δούμε ξανά στην επόμενη ομιλία. Σταύρο, καλό βράδυ, καλό Σαββατοκύριακο.